Hey everyone, welcome to Dittdott. My name is Amanda, and this is my sidekick, my pug Watson. So as you saw in today's video, we are going to be making a delicious seafood chowder. I'm gonna go ahead and get some fat in my pot here. I've got bacon grease left over, and I think that adds a really good flavor as a base to a seafood chowder. If you don't have bacon grease, if you're not a person who kind of keeps that, then you can also use butter, extra virgin olive oil, or whatever fat that you like to start your soups off with. I like to work with a really big cutting board so that way I can make little piles and not get a bunch of dishes dirty. So to start with, I have a pile of garlic that's like about 4 cloves. This is a small yellow onion. I'm gonna go ahead and get them going. And this is 1 stalk of celery, and I'm gonna add another stalk too. I like to take the point of my knife and just run it down the length of the celery, and that'll slice it into 2, and then you can just, with the tip of your knife down on the cutting board, just do a quick rocking motion. And there's something so satisfying about chopping celery, I swear. It just goes really fast and it makes a really good crunching noise. I just love it. Okay, so that's gonna go into the pot. And then next we're going to peel and put the potato in. I have been on a big soup kick lately. A couple days ago, I made a beef and vegetable soup, which kind of skirts for more of a winter soup to me, but I think of chowders. Well, chowders work perfect in the summer and the winter. I don't know. Do you have a favorite soup that you like to eat more in the summer versus winter? There's certain ones that I feel are just winter only, so like stews and stuff. I don't like having stews in the summer. Okay, so I put my potato in the pot, and I kept the dices very small because when you're eating your soup, you want it to be small on your soup spoon. My heat is medium to medium low, and now we're going to add some seasonings. I like to season in layers, so we're gonna add a little bit of salt now, but we will probably add more as we go on, and generous with the pepper. Next, we're going to take a bay leaf and put it in. There's something just kind of magical about these. And then some thyme. Now, these are the 2 seasonings that I would recommend minimum you use. And then if you would like to get wild, you can add paprika, which I'm not going to do today. But I am going to put some dill in here. I think dill goes really well in this kind of soup. And I know we put onion and garlic in the soup, but if you put some garlic powder and some onion powder, it kind of infuses into the broth even more and adds just layers of flavor again to your soup. So adding this ingredient in 2 different forms is kind of one of my secrets to good soup. All right, so we're gonna stir this in, and my potatoes are kind of starting to stick, so keep an eye on that. We might need to add a little bit more bacon grease, but right now, doing pretty good. Just need to kind of stir them. And adding the seasonings right now is great because it will actually toast the seasonings a little bit and kind of bring them back to life. Okay, so one of my secrets, another secret, is that to make the shrimp feel like you have more of it in the soup, I take each shrimp and with my knife, I put my hand flat on top of it on the cutting board, and I just slice it in half. So it kind of, in the soup, it just kind of extends how many bites of shrimp you're gonna have. So I only ordered half a pound of shrimp from my butcher because there's so much seafood going into this dish, so we don't need that much. So while I was peeling and cutting up that shrimp, my vegetables have been cooking and they look really great, so we're gonna go to the next step. Okay, so at this stage, your potatoes don't have to be cooked all the way through because they're gonna be cooked in the soup some more. But we're going to make a roux on top of our vegetables, and that's gonna make our soup thick at the end. So we put a little bit of bacon grease, but now we need to add a little bit more fat because you're gonna want about equal parts fat to flour. So a couple more tablespoons of butter. I could have added a little bit more bacon grease. Could add more olive oil too. Right now I'm using this butter to actually deglaze my, can't talk. I'm using the butter to deglaze the bottom of my pot, which actually reminded me to go get some wine out of the refrigerator to do that with. So this step is optional. You don't have to deglaze with wine. You could use chicken stock or just skip it all together. But I have this wine, it's really good. I used it in my risotto dish and I found out that I quite really liked this naked grape wine. So I'm gonna stir that in, and then now we're gonna add this flour. And I want to mix it in very quickly so that we don't get lumps. So I'm just stirring it until all the flour is wet and won't cause lumps. It's gonna be like this kind of goopy paste. Now we're gonna add some more liquid. So I went ahead and bought some clam juice. So you can use this if you can find shrimp stock. Sometimes I make homemade shrimp stock. That's perfect, but today we're just gonna go with store-bought clam juice. I'm gonna add the juice from this can. So today, like I said, I'm going easy with this chowder, so we're using canned clams today. This is an easy seafood chowder. So I'm gonna use that broth and check to see. I want to now get that flour worked in so it's not lumpy. And then I'm gonna add some milk. Okay, so for a more rich clam chowder, you could use heavy cream. I'm just using whole milk tonight. And then I have some chicken stock here in case I want to thin it out a little bit more later. I'm trying to make only enough soup for my family of 4 to eat tonight, and then for me to have as leftovers for lunch one day. Now that we got our broth in, we're going to bring it up to a low simmer, and then we're gonna add the seafood. While we're waiting for that, I also bought half a pound of scallops, which scallops are a little pricey usually, but half a pound was $5. And let's face it, seafood chowder just isn't really gonna be a budget-friendly dinner. Okay, actually I wanna bring this up to a boil so that the flour can have a chance to thicken. I completely forgot about that. Sometimes it's interesting because I've been cooking for 25 years and a lot of times I just know how to do things by feel, and I don't really think about it until I'm actually doing it. And I'm like, wait a second, something's feeling off here. Oh yeah. When you bring the flour up to a boil, it actually activates, and well, the science behind it, I don't remember, but it will then thicken. Okay, so if after a while it's not thickening, of course I really haven't let it bring up to a boil. I'm so impatient. Well, now I can start to feel it thicken up. I was gonna say, if you didn't feel it thickening up and you're not patient like I am, I think it is starting to thicken up. So let's wait before I do this. But let's just say, hey, I didn't put enough flour. So if you add flour to a whole bunch of hot liquid, it will turn into immediate lumps and be just gross. So you take some flour in a smaller bowl or a measuring cup and add about equal parts liquid, just enough to turn it into a slurry. Then you can add the slurry to your pot and it won't create lumps. See if I'm gonna need to do that or not. It is starting to thicken, I can feel it. Because I like my chowders really, really thick. I think we're gonna add the slurry. Okay, I keep questioning everything. Yeah, let's add the slurry. Hey, you know what? If I make it too thick, then we have a chicken broth and we can add more chicken broth to it. It'll work out in the end. Now, here's the important part. Your slurry, you can't have any lumps of flour. See that white lump? Got to get rid of it. If there's a lump in your slurry, there'll be a lump in your chowder. Okay, now that it's come up to a boil, I'm going to lower it. Well, dang it, I need to get the slurry in because we don't want to boil our seafood. When we put our seafood in, we want it to just be at a simmer. So I'm going to lower this, and this will work really fast. All right, so it's better if you actually use a whisk, but all right, so you can see this is nice and slurry-like, and I'm going to add it to my soup. Okay, see, now it's nice and thick. So we're just gonna add in our seafood. So I got half a pound of scallops here. I'm just gonna add it in, juices and all. Add in my can of clams. Add in my shrimp. And at this point, it's not gonna take long to cook all this. Add in some frozen corn. And I've got a cod fillet. This was frozen cod, and I'm just gonna cut it into small pieces. Put it in the soup. Watson's double checking to make sure if I lost anything. Right before I added the seafood would have been a great time to taste it and see if we needed to add more seasonings. But again, everything seems to be a little bit off today. Look at it coming together. Now, if you used heavy cream, it would have a much more white look to it instead of this kind of grayish color, but I was trying to lower the calories just a little bit. Well, I hope you enjoyed this hot mess of video if you made it all the way through, and I really appreciate your patience with me tonight. I don't know, for some reason, my mouth just doesn't want to talk. I will show you a plated version. We're just gonna give this seafood probably 3 more minutes to cook up. If you did enjoy this video, I really would appreciate that like. Hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Definitely check out my recent Instapot risotto video, which I will link up right here. And till the next video.